Hollywood's legend, Barbra Streisand, is not just a golden voice or a talented actress. She's a symbol of immense wealth, perseverance, and power. With an astonishing net worth of $400 million, Streisand has transformed her dreams into reality. Her fortune, earned through over 6 decades of music, film, directing, and strategic business ventures, funds a lifestyle filled with magnificent mansions, an expensive vintage car collection, and a legacy that inspires awe. She has recorded 36 studio albums, earned 52 gold and 32 platinum records, and sold over 150 million units worldwide, all while generating consistent royalties. Her real estate empire is iconic: $100 million Malibu estate, $17.5 million Upper East Side townhouse, and $125 million Central Park West penthouse, properties that stand as monuments to her artistic journey. Her car collection, including a 1962 Bentley S3, a 1976 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, and a 1926 Rolls-Royce, reflect a refined taste and timeless style. Yet, behind this jaw-dropping success lies a childhood etched in deep sorrow and emotional voids. Barbra was just 15 months old when her father, Emanuel Streisand, died suddenly, first believed to have passed from exhaustion, but later discovered to be a medical tragedy caused by an improperly administered injection during an epileptic seizure. With no memories, no photographs, only a bundle of his old books left behind in a basement, Barbra was raised in a world filled with absence. Her mother, Diana, overwhelmed by grief, remarried without telling her daughter. Her stepfather, Louis Kind, was emotionally distant, offering no warmth. Barbra tried desperately to win his approval, calling him Dad, fetching his slippers, yet was met with only rejection. Living in a cramped Brooklyn apartment, Barbra didn't even have her own bedroom until she was 16. There was no couch, no living room, nothing but emotional coldness. Her mother, emotionally numb and numbed by antidepressants, struggled to express affection, often showing love only through small gestures like dropping off soup and fruit. Despite this, Barbra struck out on her own at just 16, chasing a dream many told her was impossible. Her mother never said she was proud, never said "I love you." In fact, she told Barbra she wasn't pretty or talented enough to make it, suggesting she'd never be more than a secretary. These cruel rejections forged a woman of fierce resilience, honesty, and independence. She turned pain into power. With no formal training, Barbra threw herself into nightclubs, armed with only her raw, emotional voice. She faced countless rejections and whispers from insiders who dismissed her as a novelty. Yet she clung to her dreams, even when the applause was thin and hope seemed distant. Her big break in Funny Girl didn't come overnight. It was a triumph carved from hardship. She fought for respect on the set of the 1968 film adaptation, battling studio executives and sexist remarks, yet emerged with an Oscar in hand, proof of her refusal to be confined by others' limits. She didn't stop there. Barbra became a trailblazer behind the camera, taking on the male-dominated Hollywood system with Yentl, a film she directed, produced, and starred in, a project that took over a decade to fund due to rampant gender bias. But when it premiered, she made history, winning a Golden Globe and becoming a beacon of what women in film could achieve. She's the only artist with a #1 album in every decade from the 1960s to today, a feat not of luck, but relentless reinvention. From Broadway show tunes to pop ballads and deeply introspective recordings, she poured her soul into every note. Her 10 Grammys, Academy Award, and Lifetime Achievement Grammy are not just awards, they're milestones of battles won. But success came with a cost. The industry criticized her for being difficult, demanding, and aggressive, labels rarely applied to powerful men. Her high standards were mischaracterized, her leadership misunderstood. She was mocked for her nose, her voice, her Jewish heritage, features that would later become her trademarks. Yet the most painful critiques came from home. Her mother never acknowledged her accomplishments, and even at the height of Barbra's fame, she was haunted by the echo of her mother's disapproval. Even her stage fright, which plagued her for decades, caused her to step away from live performance for 27 years, not because she lost her passion, but because the anxiety was too overwhelming. She didn't quit, she adapted, becoming a director, producer, and activist, telling stories that Hollywood often ignored. Films like Yentl and The Prince of Tides weren't just cinematic projects, they were acts of defiance, statements that women could lead and create. Even so, the industry's recognition remained lukewarm, her work often snubbed in award categories. Despite her achievements, she faced a glass ceiling that wouldn't budge. The world applauded her brilliance but resisted her truth. Her personal life, too, came under scrutiny. Tabloids speculated about her relationships, dissecting her every move. One such affair, with Omar Sharif, her co-star in Funny Girl, sparked gossip across continents. Their chemistry spilled off-screen, but the romance was fleeting and fraught with controversy. Through it all, Barbra never asked for pity, only to be seen, to be heard. The fortune she leaves behind today is immense, but it didn't come without scars and sacrifice. She paid with loneliness, with nights crying backstage, with the ache of a daughter longing for maternal pride. Still, she rose. Again and again. She endured criticism, battled sexism, and built an empire from the dust of despair. Her estate of hundreds of millions, her timeless catalogue of songs, her groundbreaking films, they are not just symbols of fame but of a woman's unshakable belief in herself. Barbra Streisand didn't just sing. She survived, thrived, and conquered, and the legacy she leaves behind isn't just in dollars. It's in the spirit she infused into every performance, every home, every struggle. Her story is not just one of success, it's one of cultural expectations and professional risk. Barbra paid dearly for both, enduring whispers that she had crossed the line of propriety. Yet she never denied the authenticity she felt. The relationship burned bright, then extinguished, leaving her with an unapologetic lesson: love should never be hidden, even if it can't endure. Then came Pierre Trudeau, the charismatic and enigmatic Prime Minister of Canada. Their connection transcended borders, intellectual, cultural, and magnetic. A world leader and a theatrical virtuoso found each other at a crossroads. Yet neither could fully step out of their roles. Barbra, hungry for closeness, faced the constant tug-of-war between public life and private yearning. Their romance, though discreet, left her with admiration and a heart scarred by unfulfilled longing. Trudeau exhibited tenderness, but circumstance and duty ultimately pulled them apart, teaching her that even the most compelling love can founder on the rocks of public expectation. In the 1980s, Barbra's whirlwind romance with Don Johnson, an up-and-coming TV star and heartthrob, captured tabloid attention. They were glamour personified, she the enduring icon, he the on-screen cowboy. But with that glare came pressure, expectations, rumors, and performance over intimacy. Behind the flash, they struggled to find normalcy. Barbra, fiercely devoted to her craft and fiercely private, discovered that not every flame thrives under scrutiny. Their love ended with mutual respect but also left behind a potent reminder. Fame can be seductive, but it often comes at a high emotional cost. Then came Andre Agassi, a love that challenged stereotypes. Their connection in the 1990s was unexpected. An athletic superstar met a legendary performer. She was in her 50s. He was in his 20s. Critics buzzed, fans gawked, but Barbra and Andre found beauty in their differences. For her, it was an invitation to feel seen again, to be desired for her true self, not her celebrity. But external pressure, judgment, and clashing life rhythms eventually wore on them. Their time together was intense, eyebrow-raising, and deeply poignant. It reminded Barbra that age, fame, or public opinion cannot dictate the realness of human connection, even if they can derail it. The breakup was painful, but it uncovered her courage to love boldly and let go gracefully. While Barbra's romantic world navigated turbulence, motherhood added another layer of complexity. Her first child, Jason Gould, born from her marriage to Elliot Gould, grew up watching his mother under the unforgiving glare of fame. Barbra's love for Jason was resolute, but her career cast long shadows. Her journey to stardom meant absences, delays, and decisions only a mother could feel so profoundly. When Jason eventually came out as gay, a revelation that could have divided them, Barbra embraced him with fierce, unconditional love and protection. She became one of the few celebrities to publicly support her son at a time when many remained silent. Through Jason, she learned that parenting demands as much vulnerability as fame, and that unconditional love can require even more courage than living in the spotlight. Then in 1996, Barbra met James Brolin. Something about his steady presence and unassuming warmth offered her what she had been searching for all her life, a partner who listened more than spoke, who sheltered without overshadowing her. They married in 1998 and, more than 2 decades later, remain one of Hollywood's most quietly enduring couples. No tabloid drama. No public declarations. Just a shared look over morning coffee, a walk along the Malibu bluffs, and mutual respect for each other's artistry. They never had children together, but Barbra embraced James' son, Josh, as if he were her own, enriching the circle of their life with a love she had longed to secure. In James, Barbra discovered that the deepest love doesn't demand headlines. It thrives in small gestures, in unwavering presence, in the choice to build a life quietly anchored in loyalty and shared values. Barbra Streisand's romantic journey was never smooth. Yet each brush with heartbreak sculpted her. From the scandalous fire of fleeting fame to the unassuming grace of lasting devotion, she emerged resilient, open-hearted, and wiser. She proved that true love might scar more than it satisfies. But each scar etched her identity, deepened her capacity to care, and shaped the kind of wealth worth keeping. Not the financial kind, but the wealth of a soul tested and softened by love. For Barbra Streisand, her homes and vehicles aren't just luxurious possessions. They're chapters in a life transformed from hardship to refined artistry. Her Malibu estate, sprawling over 3 private structures nestled within rose gardens and koi ponds, is more than $100 million sanctuary. It's a testament to decades of triumph, a place where she married James Brolin and found solace even amid wildfire evacuations. Her Upper East Side townhouse, built in the 1930s and listed at $17.5 million, speaks of her Brooklyn roots, a space she called home soon after her first Oscar win. A place that offered both refuge and reinvention. Then there's her Central Park West penthouse, listed at $112.5 million, a 2-story retreat overlooking the city's pulse, reminding us that despite fame, she craved intimate privacy. Each property reflects not just status, but story. The Malibu compound marking her creative retreat, the NYC homes echoing her rise from modest Brooklyn flats to Broadway and Hollywood's elite. Her cars are no less symbolic. Each one a mirror of an era and an evolution. The 1962 Bentley S3, with its plush walnut veneer and whisper-quiet ride, recalls her breakout funny girl days, when she glided from Broadway to film with poise over panic. The 1976 Mercedes-Benz 450 SL, sporty and elegant, mirrors her emergence in the 70s and 80s with A Star Is Born and Yentl, projects that showcased her multi-hyphenate talent and fierce independence. The 1926 Rolls-Royce, handcrafted and timeless, evokes her later career as an established icon, a woman whose attention to detail and authenticity defied industry stereotypes. These aren't garage fillers, they're personal time capsules. Each engine hum, each polished chrome panel whispers of resilience, tenacity, and the lived reality behind the spotlight. Streisand didn't accumulate wealth to flaunt it. She chose or restored each asset for its meaning, for the comfort it provided, for its symbolic victory over the struggles of her youth and the barriers she shattered as a woman in entertainment. In every brick and bouquet, every odometer and heirloom car, the story of a girl who grew up fatherless in Brooklyn emerges anew. A woman who transformed every setback into a stage, every doubt into a home. And perhaps that's why the world pauses, not just at the staggering price tags, but at the narratives woven into each square foot and each mile driven. A legacy far richer than money. A celebration of a life lived on her own terms, with elegance, purpose, and grace. Barbra Streisand's greatest contribution may not be her voice or her films. It may be the legacy she built quietly behind the curtain, with a heart committed to healing a fractured world. In 1986, she established the Streisand Foundation, not as a vanity project, but as a powerful instrument of social change. Over the decades, the foundation has issued more than 1,000 grants, distributing tens of millions of dollars to causes often overlooked: environmental protection, civil rights, voter engagement, and women's health. Her dedication to women's cardiovascular health alone has transformed lives. In 2008, she endowed the creation of a Women's Heart Center at Cedars-Sinai Medical Center in Los Angeles, an initiative born from both personal concern and scientific neglect. She later raised and contributed millions more to ensure women's health research no longer treated them as statistical footnotes. What began as a donation became a national conversation, and eventually a movement. Beyond institutions, her humanitarian legacy lives in culture. She spoke up for LGBTQ+ rights when few dared, stood against racism, and funded legal aid for marginalized voices. Her giving wasn't performative, it was purposeful. She didn't just donate, she strategized, she listened, and she empowered others to act. Whether it was the creation of a think tank at UCLA focused on truth, justice, and climate, or direct aid to communities in need, her vision was expansive, yet deeply personal. Today, her impact cannot be measured by buildings or plaques, but by the quiet relief of a patient who received care, a student who got a scholarship, or an activist who found support in a lonely fight. As her fortune passes on, so too does a moral legacy, an inheritance far more enduring than money. Through every check she wrote and every cause she uplifted, Barbra Streisand reminded the world, greatness isn't what you own, but what you give away. In Hollywood, tales of extravagant wealth often end in courtroom battles and family fractures. But Barbra Streisand was never one to follow the script. Known for her meticulous planning and quiet dignity, she seemed to live with one eye on the future, not just of her career, but of her legacy. Though her will remains private, all signs point to a carefully orchestrated plan, one that honors both her bloodline and her chosen family. Her only son, Jason Gould, to whom she's shown unwavering love and support, will likely carry forward not just her name, but her creative fire. Her stepchildren, whom she embraced with genuine care, may find themselves entrusted with more than memories. At the same time, her philanthropic legacy, built over decades, will continue to breathe through the Streisand Foundation, ensuring her values echo long after the spotlight fades. In the end, her inheritance won't just be counted in dollars, but in the thoughtfulness of how it's passed on. Now, Barbra Streisand shares a quiet life alongside her husband James Brolin. Nestled in their Malibu sanctuary, there are no flashing lights or red carpets. Her days now unfold in the gentle rituals of reading by the window, tending to garden blooms, and writing the memoirs that will speak to her legacy. With no social media presence and few public appearances, Streisand carves out a sanctuary for her values, a place of stillness, where each sunrise is an unhurried affirmation. It's in these silent moments with James that she chose a life rich in meaning rather than noise. And while she has amassed a staggering estate, from her multi-million-dollar Malibu compound to the priceless contributions of her foundation, what truly endures is this private peace she built away from the spotlight. Barbra Streisand's legacy will not be measured merely in dollar signs or mansions, but in the courage she inspired, the voices she lifted, and the path she forged with unapologetic integrity. Her life story, a symphony of resistance, talent, and transformation, speaks louder than the estate she will one day bequeath. Now we want to hear from you. On a scale from 0 to 10, how do you rate Barbra Streisand, not just as an artist, but as an extraordinary woman? Do you believe her inheritance will honor her spirit? Share your thoughts and favorite memories in the comments below. It's here, in our reflections, that her legacy truly lives on.